Thanks for watching. We appreciate you. Please, please subscribe.
Amber Smith is a former Iraq war combat pilot, a former deputy assistant to the Secretary of Defense, and the author of the book Danger Close. So, Amber, obviously the context of being in a theater of war is very different than being in a dangerous neighborhood in a city in America. But what is your reaction to the study showing that if you're an 18 to 29 aged male in these places, that your chance of dying is much higher than if you were to be deployed?
I think it's a pretty devastating statistic that Americans are safer to join the military and serve and fight in a combat zone like Iraq and Afghanistan than to live in a couple of these American cities. And it's absolutely true. Chicago's a war zone. Philadelphia is a war zone. And it's reflected in the way that there's mass exodus is in those cities right now. People don't want to see these criminal gangs that are out of control and swarming vehicles as they come to stoplights and are robbed by weapons in broad daylight, where it's essentially a lawless city. And so I just think that these is a direct reflection of these soft on crime policies that we're seeing at the very top, and this very anti-police rhetoric that we're seeing from some members of Congress like AOC, the Squad, and the defund the police movement. These policies and this rhetoric is what is pushing this rise of crime that we're seeing in these cities.
Yeah, the other distinction is that when you join the military, as you know, and you go fight for your country overseas, you're doing it for a purpose. You're fighting to defend Americans at home from a foreign threat, in defense of the country. There is a purpose to it. Here, it's like the purpose is just to be part of a gang and to engage in this violence for the sake of what exactly?
Yeah, exactly. And I think it does come back to lack of police support. When I was served in the military, when we had to deploy to a war zone, I served in both Iraq and Afghanistan. We had the support of our chain of command. We had the resources we need to be able to accomplish the mission. We had top resources, weapons and ammunition to ensure that the team made it back safely. But most importantly, we had the backing of the American people. We knew we were supported here at home, and it made such a difference. So I think with this rise in crime that we're seeing in these cities, the police are essentially being overrun. They don't have the support of their elected leadership of some of these liberal cities, their mayors, these district attorneys that are refusing to prosecute criminals, everything from misdemeanors all the way up to people who are rioting, theft, you name it. And so they do not have the support, the people to back them up after they make these arrests and get these criminals off the streets. The DA is sending them right back to the streets. So they're not having that support that we had from our leadership when we were in the military serving in combat.
Right. I mean, the guys who want to go in and protect people from this kind of bad behavior, or to protect people who live in these neighborhoods who aren't part of the gangs, are the ones who are not being able to get that as a result of the lack of morale, right? I mean, it seems like there's this cultural rot that's occurred, and I don't really know where we go from here, given, as you said, people are abandoning the cities. Police don't have the support from the people who fund them and give them the resources that they need. I just think it's going to get worse.
It is, and we're seeing the negative effects of over 2 years of this defund the police rhetoric and movement, with people pushing this without thinking of the consequences. And we're sadly seeing the morale being significantly damaged in the law enforcement culture, and things have got to change. So there's these lawless cities come to an end, and we get some law and order back in them for the safety of the American people.
Yeah, I mean, it's just shocking that young men in these cities have a higher likelihood of being shot and killed in their neighborhood by a fellow gang member than they do if they were to join the military for a larger purpose of themselves and be deployed overseas. It's just outrageous and devastating, as you said. Amber Smith, thanks so much for coming on tonight. Good to see you.
Thanks, Katie. Good to see you.
Thanks for watching. We appreciate you. Please subscribe.